Welcome to This Explainer. You know that feeling when your paycheck hits? You open your banking app, look at the number, and for one beautiful, fleeting second, you feel rich. But then, bam, rent is due, auto-renewing subscriptions hit, you order takeout a couple of times, and suddenly it's just gone. We've literally all been there. Today, we're diving into an incredibly revealing 30-day experiment by the creator Jack Explains Money. He tested the famous 50-30-20 rule to see if it actually cures this endless money management headache. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Why traditional budgets fail.
So we're always hearing this generic advice, right? Just budget better, track every single dollar, or cut your spending. But why doesn't that actually stick? Well, here's the crazy part. Most people give up on detailed budgeting after just 3 days. 3 days. And honestly, it makes total sense. Tracking every tiny purchase is absolutely exhausting. Saving crumpled receipts, logging every single coffee into some app, scrutinizing microtransactions, it's just way too much friction for real everyday life.
Section 2. The 50-30-20 rule.
Looking for something with way less friction, Jack decided to test out this 50-30-20 system for a full month just to see if it holds up in the real world. And honestly, what's really mind-blowing about this experiment is just how simple the structure is. Instead of juggling 40 different super-specific expense categories, your entire income gets divided into just 3 basic buckets. You've got 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. No giant complex spreadsheets, no micromanaging.
Now, for this to actually work, we do have to draw a really hard line between these buckets. Needs are your strict non-negotiables, the stuff you absolutely have to pay for to survive. We're talking rent, utilities, basic groceries, and insurance. Wants, on the other hand, well, those are the things that make life actually fun, but you could technically live without them. Restaurants, entertainment, that weekend trip. And that final bucket, that one is locked in purely for your future self.
When you actually apply real numbers to this, it gets incredibly tangible. Let's say you take home $4,000 a month after taxes. Under this rule, you get a crystal clear breakdown. $2,000 goes straight to needs, $1,200 is basically your playground for wants, and $800 is locked away for investing. It's so simple, and it leaves absolutely zero room for guesswork.
Section 3. The hidden spending trap.
But here's the catch. When Jack first looked at his own spending to kick off this experiment, he hit a pretty hard truth. Your actual habits probably aren't going to match this perfect breakdown right out of the gate. We all kind of assume our biggest financial drains are the huge things, like rent. But data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that discretionary spending quietly eats our income alive through small, super frequent purchases. You know the ones, the $15 lunch, that forgotten $20 subscription, the delivery fees. On their own, they feel like nothing, but together, they are bleeding you dry. Here's the fascinating thing Jack noticed during his 30-day test, though. Fixing this doesn't actually require an iron fist. It just takes awareness. See, once you realize you only have a finite amount in your wants bucket, your brain automatically shifts gears and starts prioritizing. Right before you tap your card, you actually pause and think, wait, do I want this sad desk salad today more than I want those concert tickets on Friday? That one little mental shift turns mindless spending into intentional prioritization. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now. Okay, but what if my basic needs already eat up way more than 50% of my paycheck? Totally fair. If you live in a notoriously expensive city, housing alone can smash right through that limit. But remember, this rule isn't some rigid, unbreakable law. Adjusting it to a 60-20-20 split, where 60% covers your needs and 20% covers your wants, still gives you a dramatically better financial structure. Because at the end of the day, the goal here is balance, not perfection.
Section 4. The power of 20%.
All right, let's talk about that 20% savings rule, because this is where the math becomes truly life-changing. If we jump back to our example of a $4,000 monthly take-home pay, saving 20% means you're stashing away a solid $800 every single month. Over a year, that is almost $10,000 just sitting in your accounts.
And this brings us to the absolute magic of compounding. Check this out. If you invest that money and get an average historical return of about 8% a year, over 20 years, that consistent $800 a month grows to roughly $450,000. Seriously, just think about that for a second. Nearly $500,000, strictly from following one incredibly simple structural rule.
There's a quote from the experiment that I think just perfectly hits the nail on the head as to why this system matters so much. It goes, "Most people don't fail financially because they make bad investments. They fail because they never create space to invest in the first place." I mean, wow. Financial success really doesn't come from winning the lottery.
It comes from consistently carving out the physical room in your life to invest.
Section 5. The psychological shift.
But you know what? The absolute biggest surprise of this whole 30-day experiment wasn't even the compound interest math. It was the psychological relief. Think about it like this. Operating without a budget is exactly like throwing all your belongings into a dark, incredibly messy closet. It just creates this constant, low-level hum of anxiety. But the 50-30-20 rule, it basically installs 3 clean, simple shelves in that closet. Suddenly, every single dollar has a designated place. The financial chaos is just instantly organized.
So what were the actual tangible results after the month was up? Well, Jack noticed 3 massive shifts. Number 1, his awareness of his everyday habits totally skyrocketed. 2, saving money actually felt automatic instead of feeling like this miserable chore. And 3, and honestly, this is the most important one, his financial decisions became entirely guilt-free. If you bought something fun from the wants category, hey, it was already planned for. Zero stress, zero guilt. Just purely intentional spending. The core takeaway here is just so profound. Clarity does the work, not discipline. When you already know a purchase is coming from a pre-planned, fully funded wants bucket, you don't have to rely on exhausting willpower to manage your money. The structure itself literally does all the heavy lifting for you.
Section 6. Your 30-day challenge. Ultimately, the biggest mistake people make isn't actually overspending. Nope, it's operating without any sort of clear structure in the first place. So, if you want to stop constantly wondering where your money went, try this super simple 3-step challenge for the next 30 days. Step 1, calculate your actual monthly income after taxes. Step 2, divide it up into those 3 basic buckets. And Step 3, just track your spending against those broad categories for 1 single month. I promise, you're going to be amazed watching what happens to your habits.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the exact kind of provocative question Jack asked at the end of his own experiment. Ask yourself honestly, do you currently follow a budgeting system, or do you mostly just spend and hope it works out? You know, sometimes dramatically improving your finances doesn't require some massive complex strategy. It just requires one simple rule, applied consistently. Thank you so much for joining me today, and hey, here's to building those 3 shelves in your own financial life.